Oh, hey. Morning, guys and girls. It's Brad here at Firewood at the Furnace. Just finished touching up the blade on this saw. So we're gonna have a little bit of a different video today. You see Reva, she's down here. She's joining me in the garage today. But got something a little different for you today, so stick around and we'll talk about it. All right, so there in the intro, you saw me hand filing the saw, which is one of the methods that I use to sharpen my chains. And it seems to be the best method as far as the quality of the sharpening. So we just got done hand filing here. We've got the Harbor Freight bench grinder here, which I think that'd be my third option. And then we've got the Dremel tool with the sharpening stone on the end. So that is the three methods that I use to sharpen with. And the Dremel is great. It's much faster and it gives you a pretty good edge. Hand filing takes longer. It's the best edge. And then the grinder, like I said, that's jury's still out for me on that, but I still have it here and may still play with it eventually. But we got Reva down here with us. Say hi, Reva. She's in the shop today and she's exploring all the new smells and scents because she doesn't come out here too often with me. She's a rabbit hunting dog, so this time of year the rabbits are all out in the yard. The weather's normally warm, so I have the door up, and if she's not on a runner or secured in some way and gets on a scent, her ears turn off, her nose turns on, and she's gone. So the doors are shut today because it's a cool day after several days of being not in the mid to upper 90s and super humid. Storm came through last night. Cool temperatures off. We're only in the mid to upper 60s today. So we've got the door shut. I'm going to do some work here in the garage today so the dog can be out here with me. All right, so over the past several weeks, I've been really, reflecting on what has happened in my life in the past 6 months. Everybody knows from the previous videos about my father passing last fall, and I feel like a lot of things have changed with me personally, and obviously with this YouTube channel and cutting firewood, and so much has changed. I sat down and I wrote down 10 reasons why I'm doing this. So today I'm going to talk to you about the 10 reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing now and how it's affected my life in the past 6 months. And I think a lot of you will be able to relate to some of these this list of 10 reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. So we'll get started. And number one, which I will go over in video number one when I introduce myself to you all when I first started this YouTube channel. And it's the reason why I started cutting firewood, and it was after my father passed during the COVID crisis. My mom was sick. We couldn't be inside her house, so we had to stay outside, and we found ourselves gathered around the campfire, around her fire ring in the backyard every evening for almost 2 weeks. I explained this in a lot more detail in video number one, so if you haven't watched that, I'll put a link right up here and you can check that out. And I really explain, what went on during that time. But to make a long story short, I was paying $8 for 3/4 of a cubic foot of firewood at the local grocery store. And when we're burning every night for almost 2 weeks, that added up to quite a few $100s. So I decided that was ridiculous, and I'm perfectly capable of cutting firewood. I had a chainsaw at the time. I had an axe at the time, and I needed something to do to keep my mind busy and allow me to not pay $8 a bundle for firewood. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, I just alluded to a little bit, and that was to keep my mind busy. After my father passed, my whole world changed. You think when you're a young man, you don't really think about your parents not being here. And, as I got older and I turned 40 years old, I started to think, I remember when my dad turned 40 years old when I was just a little guy. And, I thought, man, my dad's getting old. But I don't feel old. I'm 43 years old now, and I don't feel old. But as you get older, you look at your parents, and in your mind and in your eyes, they don't really age. They're still your dad. They're still the same person that they always were when you were that little kid. So the reality kind of sets in that, your parents are getting old. And when you lose a parent, it really changes your outlook on life, reprioritizes what you think is important in life, and just changes your mindset. So I needed something to keep my mind busy, because idle time is not good for you when you're going through something like that. So some people find the peace in music, which I do too. Music is a great thing to keep your mind busy and to help heal. But this Firewood thing, it kind of came together after that happened, and it has served as a great method for me to keep my mind busy and to give me something to do. So what started out as something going to be small and just cut a little bit of firewood to have to burn in the backyard has turned into this, and I have no plans to stop. So that's point number 2. We'll move on to point number 3, which is that because the wood yard is at my parents' property, where I grew up, keeps me closer to my mom. I'm there. I only live about a mile away from her, where my house is compared to hers. So I was over there a good bit to begin with, but now this causes me to be there a lot more. I think it brings my mom a sense of comfort to have me close by more often, and it certainly brings me a sense of comfort to be near her, to be there if she needs something, to help her with anything going on around the house. And it also makes me feel at home. Even though it's not my home anymore, it was my home when I was growing up. So it gives me a sense of peace in that way. That's point number 3. So reason number 4 why I'm doing what I'm doing is for exercise. As we get older, it gets harder and harder to try to stay in good shape. And cutting firewood is definitely good exercise. Anybody out there that has ever done it or does it knows that it's work. And I talk about it in previous videos about the price of firewood and why you pay what you pay. It's not so much the value of the wood as it is the amount of labor and work that goes into making it firewood. So it keeps your heart healthy, keeps your body moving, and I think it's a great thing. Gives me a chance to get some exercise. And exercise is also another way that your body deals with stress. It's a way for your body to help deal with any heartache you have or any anxiety that you have. So exercise is a great outlet for that as well. So it helps in 2 ways for me personally. That's point number 4. So we'll move on to point number 5, which is one of my favorite things, and that's the satisfaction that you get out of being able to work a whole day and step back when you're done and take a look and say, that's what I accomplished. You see the pile of wood, you see the nice stack of wood, or you see the rounds that you've got cut up, and you can have something to look at to show for the effort that you put in that day. And a lot of jobs, office jobs, paperwork type jobs, you work hard and you get stuff done, but there's really nothing to look at to see what you've done. And firewood is the complete opposite of that. You can see exactly what you've gotten done that day. So that's another reason why I enjoy doing what I'm doing. All right, so point number 6. Point number 6 for me is a way to get through the winter blues. Throughout my life, I've not been a fan of wintertime. Cold weather kind of hinders what you can do. Outside, it kind of, there's no leaves on the trees, everything's gloomy. I like riding motorcycles, obviously. I like boating and fishing. And, a lot of that stuff you can't do in the middle of wintertime. But since getting into cutting firewood, I actually look forward to cool temperatures, because 30 and 40 degrees, cutting firewood, you can get a lot done. So I'm actually kind of, in a way, looking forward to the cooler weather coming this fall, because I know that there's a lot to do with the wood yard, and I've got something to do in the wintertime now. So we'll move on to point number 7. And this isn't really a big deal for me, but it is a little something extra. And that's the fact that when you get your wood ready to sell, if you want to sell a little bit of firewood, you get that little bit of extra pocket cash, a little bit of play money in your pocket. And I don't think anybody's out there getting rich from cutting firewood. For the amount of time that you put in, the effort that you put in, and the work that goes into making it firewood, the equipment that you buy, the saws, the splitters. If you get big enough and you have a processor, that's great. The truck to haul it with, a dump trailer, whatever you're using, you're spending money to enjoy this hobby, and you're spending money to do this thing. So you're not getting rich on it, but you get a little bit of money in your pocket. You can reinvest it, go out and buy chains, go out and buy your gas and oil, maybe save up, buy a saw. But you know, that little bit of extra money is nice to have in your pocket. So that was point number 7. We'll move on to point number 8, which is learning something new. And I'm not really talking about cutting firewood, even though I have learned a lot about cutting firewood, learned about the different species of wood, different trees, what's good, what's not as good, what's bad. But you see, I'm sure you've seen behind me in the garage, and I'll show you here in a few minutes. My whole life I've been into motorcycles. I bought my first motorcycle when I was a senior in high school, and I've had motorcycles ever since. My job is riding a motorcycle. It's my dream job. You know, I'm a police officer, and I've been a trooper here in Maryland for 24 years. And my dream job was always to get to the small elite motor unit that the department has. There's only 5 full-time guys and 3 part-time guys in that unit. And it's pretty tough to get to. The school's very intense mentally and physically. But I aspired to get to that point, and I did get to the unit. I've become a motor instructor, which is another career goal that I had. And so motorcycles has always been a passion of mine. And I actually went to some classes to learn how to be a motorcycle mechanic. I worked for a short time in the evenings with a motorcycle builder. We built a couple of custom choppers back when the chopper thing was a big deal. And so I've got a lot of experience working on motorcycles and riding motorcycles. But I never knew much about 2-stroke engines. So getting into the firewood thing and working with chainsaws has really sparked my interest in how a chainsaw operates, how a 2-stroke engine operates. And you know, I want to dig into it and learn more. So I'll put a little link up at the top here. I did a shorts video a while back talking about finding 2 chainsaws in the trash. They were sitting out on the road next to the trash. When I drove by, I stopped, backed up. The guy was out in his front yard. I said, "Are you throwing those away?" He said, "Yes, they're junk, take them." So one was a home light. I'll get it here. It was this home light, little homeowner saw XL. It's an old saw, but he said they don't run, they won't run. I've done everything I can to try to get it running. So the other one was this little thing. I think it's a Craftsman maybe. I don't really know. But I brought these home and I started playing. I just started taking them apart, digging into them, figured I had nothing to lose, just to see how things work, playing with the carburetors. Excuse me. And I ended up getting the home light running. Put a new carburetor on it, dug into it, checked the cylinder, checked the piston, adjusted the carburetor up, got it running. So it runs good now. The Craftsman saw has no compression and it's not worth putting any money into. So it's either gonna sit on a shelf or go in the trash here at my house. But anyway, it's given me an opportunity to learn a little bit about 2-stroke engines. I've watched a lot on YouTube, and now I wanna learn more. And I'm gonna get into that in a minute, which may hurt some of your feelings. But we'll move on to point number 9 for now, and that's the fact that you get to work at your own pace. I have no deadlines. I have no quotas. I have nobody telling me I have to get a certain amount of wood cut or a certain amount of wood stacked on any given day at any given time. So when I have a moment, when I have some free time in the evening or on the weekend, I do what I can, and I get whatever I can done. So it's a hobby, and no stress involved, which is great. So we're gonna move on to the last point, number 10, which is you all, YouTube. The YouTube community has been a very, very positive and pleasurable experience. I've only been on here about 6 months, but the comments and the feedback and the interaction on some other channel live streams has just been really, really good for me. I don't know how you all feel, and I'm not going to get into those opinions or politics or anything like that, but mainstream media is just not for me. I've tuned all of that out. I very rarely turn on the television and watch any of mainstream media. If you want to know what I watch, it's YouTube. It's a little bit of the Discovery Channel, History Channel, and that's pretty much it. If I want to know what the weather is, I get on the app on my phone and I look at the weather. And other than that, I've kind of tuned the mainstream media out, which has been a great thing for me. And YouTube has totally filled that void. I get to watch what I want to watch. I get to choose what I want to see, and whatever is of interest to me. So number 10 probably should be number 1 on this list, because it is the biggest impact, and that's you all that make that happen for me. So thank you. All right, so now we're going to backtrack a little bit to point number 9 about learning about two-stroke engines. And there's a lot of people on YouTube that have done what I'm about to show you. And I know there's a lot of very strong opinions and very strong brand loyalty people out there. So I'm just going to show you what I've done, or what I'm going to do, and then you can give me whatever feedback you want. I know there's going to be some positive feedback. I know there's going to be some negative feedback, and I'm okay with both of those. So let me turn you around here and show you. All right, it's not the dog, but it is this. This is a Farmer Tech / Hutzel, whatever you want to call it, Chinese clone saw. And it's a clone of the MS660. And there's a lot of people on YouTube who have put these kit saws together. And look, I'm just going to tell you right off the bat that I'm a believer in you get what you pay for. And this is a saw under $200 or under $300. And I'm going to put it together with the knowledge that it's not going to be an OEM saw. It may not last very long, but I'm going to learn a lot about two-cycle engines and about chainsaws along the way. So I had a couple hours of unexpected overtime a couple weeks ago, which basically was a wash. I decided I was going to spend that money to buy this kit saw, and I'm going to put it together. And if it runs for a while, that's great. If it runs for a long time, that's even better. But if it goes wrong and something happens to it, I'll just rebuild it, and I'm not going to have any hurt feelings about it. So that's going to be the next little adventure for me. And I'm not going to record the build because it's going to be my first time, and I'm not going to show anything that may be wrong. There's plenty of videos out there on YouTube if you're interested in putting one of these saws together that you can watch, and a lot of great knowledge. So while we're in the shop, I've had some comments on my previous videos, and I've had some emails from people interested in the motorcycles in the garage here. So I'm just going to turn you around, and I will explain to you what's in the shop and what I ride. So this is my work bike. This is a 2020 BMW R1250 RT-P. The -P just obviously stands for police model. But I just got this bike a few months ago. It just got outfitted and put on the road. So this is a brand new motorcycle. And this is what I ride for work every day. So that's that. This is a bike that I built and put together for my wife. This is a 2005 Honda Rebel that I kind of stripped down, and this is all just changing of parts. No real fabrication involved here. Put the wide white wall tires on it, changed the rear fender, solo seat, changed the exhaust, put some forward controls on it, changed the handlebars. So that's her little Honda Rebel that she rides around with me once in a while when we're just staying local. This is a 2010 Harley-Davidson Ultra Limited. That's the bike I take on long trips. This is a 1998 Harley-Davidson Softail Custom. That's kind of my local ride around bike. And this I just got done rebuilding about 2 years ago. This is a 1971 Harley-Davidson FLH. It's a shovel head, kickstart, and I'm pretty proud of this. It turned out nice. And this over here, it's a 1923 T-Bucket. It's a fiberglass body. It's got a Chevy 350 small block in it. So that's a little tour of the garage. I know some of you have been asking. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you all got a little bit more insight about who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. If you have any questions, feedback, if you've got some other reasons why you do what you do, I'd love to hear them. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.